In another lifetime, I spent more time in the Horn of Africa than anywhere else in the world in the mid-1980s.
War and famine ravaged Ethiopia, Eritrea, Somalia, and much of the Sahel. Millions died, and Live Aid and Band-Aid tried to paper over the cracks.
It was war by proxy. I myself was bombed and nearly killed in Eritrea while ITN news cameras filmed it by Soviet bombers dropping American bombs. Writing in The Spectator and the Sunday Times, I called them vodka-cola bombs.
And now, the war at least is back, and superpower involvement is guaranteed. Our first guest is Simon Tesfamariam, Executive Director of the New African Institute, and he joins us now.
Simon, thanks for coming on board the Sputnik. Have I got that, as it were, framing reference right? That there is war in Ethiopia now, but it's the same people that fueled the last one that are fueling this one.
Yes, it's very much true. The details have changed. And I should say, first of all, thank you very much for inviting me to your show. It's an honor to be on. So I would say that the details have changed, but the general larger story is the same. You have an imperialist war on the move in the Horn of Africa, and we're saying no more to this.
Well, they seem to be winning on the battlefield, at least since last summer. How dangerous is the situation? The TPLF that the West supported in the 1980s were then a Maoist outfit, but that didn't put the West off. And now they're supporting them again, and they're winning the war. What's the danger of them marching into Addis Ababa and again forming a sectarian government?
So TPLF actually is a separatist ethnic secessionist group that was started back in the 1970s, and basically when it came to power in 1991, ruled through very cruel ethnic federalist system, which is institutionalized tribalism. And so it was definitely no longer Maoist, and never was Maoist to begin with, to be honest with you. And, you know, there's a lot of alarmism sort of going on in the region at the current moment, claiming that, as according to CNN said, they're on the outskirts of the capital, which is absolutely not true. If you're going to tell me 300 kilometers away from a capital city is the outskirts, it would be a joke by anyone's standards. And so I think, you know, you see a lot of alarmism going on at the current moment in order to weaken the resolve of the people of the country to ramp up a war, psychological warfare, and basically prepare the population for regime change.
In the 1980s, America's problem was that Addis Ababa was aligned with the then Soviet Union. Now the problem is China, isn't it?
You know, it's always a new enemy in order to, you know, create some type of excuse for intervention. Is there some truth to it? Of course. You know, the so-called great power competition that currently exists in the world, according to U.S. national security doctrine at the current moment, dictates that the U.S. will have to get involved literally everywhere in the world to compete with China. And so this very strategic part of the world, the Horn of Africa, you know, which sits right at the cusp of the Suez Canal, the Bab el-Mandeb Strait, is a critical choke point for economic trade in the world. And so we're talking trillions a year. And so, of course, they're going to use that as a pretext to intervene.
Now, the President Abiy Ahmed, he's facing multiple challenges on multiple fronts. I believe there was also a confrontation and a conflict on the Sudanese border I think it was regarding a dam that was going to be built on the Nile. Could you tell us about that?
So yes, the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam, which is a dam that will bring you know, power to the entire Ethiopian peoples who were previously living in the dark. You know, this great African project that will allow for, you know, Ethiopia to emancipate itself from, having to live with, reduced development and all these other problems that come with lack of power. And so on the so-called dark continent, I should say, by the way. And so the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam, or GERD, is an African dam that will help to power not only Ethiopia, but the region. And so the United States, seeing this as a source of energy and a source of prosperity and a source of potential self-reliance in the future, sees this as a threat. And so, the pretext is that it's a problem with Egypt, but why would Egypt have a problem with this? They're suggesting that it has to do with the fact that, that it'll stop water flowing downwards to Egypt. But this is not true. This is during the filling period, yes. This isn't the only dam in the world where, different countries have to share resources. So why is this such a special issue? It's because of the fact that they're politicizing this issue and trying to make it a way of curbing development on the Nile, in Ethiopia, in the downstream countries, the sub-Saharan Black African states.
The Tigrayans are a very small proportion of the Ethiopian population. They could not hope to win a civil war on their own, even with the extent of the superpower support that they have. Isn't the problem strategically that the Oromo people seem to have thrown their lot in with the Tigrayans?
The thing is that, yes, the Tigrayan people are a minority group in Ethiopia. But if we look at TPLF, the group that is essentially that has taken the region hostage, taken the Tigrayan people hostage, it represents a few among the, among this small population to begin with. So what's happened is that this small group, TPLF, the Tigrayan People's Liberation Front, has teamed up with another minority ethnic regime, or former regime, I should say, or actually it was never a regime to begin with, a rebel group, the Oromo Liberation Army, and is basically, making it look like these are two gallant forces that are going to come into the capital and take over the country. But 95% of the Ethiopian people are against these ethnic minority, rebel forces that are trying to take over the country, because I think the people have said enough. They're saying no more with this new budding campaign that has gripped the country and the world, because of the fact that, it's taking the region backwards, taking the world backwards to go towards this tribalist sort of dimension. And so people are uniting around their nationalism at the current moment. So I don't see, these small forces making a major impact in the future politics. They may create destruction and warfare because of the intervention of the United States, the diplomatic cover that it provides. But at the end of the day, the Ethiopian people will reject this force, and it will not it will not take hold in the country.
Now, of course, the president got the Nobel Prize for his role in ending the long and bloody conflict with Eritrea. What's the role of Eritrea now in this, you say not, the media says, existential threat to Ethiopia? Is the relationship with Eritrea sufficiently strong that military support might be necessary from Eritrea?
So the thing was that when Abiy Ahmed came to power, he was a reformist, took a lot of people out of jail, opened up the free press, and basically you had the Anshan regime, the Tigrayan People's Liberation Front, create chaos in the country. And it was in the interest of Abiy Ahmed and the Ethiopian people to create peace with Eritrea in order to bring about a new day in the Horn of Africa, not just in terms of, all, good feelings, everyone, peace and love and all that stuff, but really also from a strategic perspective, in the rear of the TPLF's base, you have Eritrea. And so these are two countries that literally, have faced war on account of TPLF and continued chaos and all these other things we can talk about. And so it was in the interest of both countries. And I should also include Somalia as well, too, to create a tripartite alliance to rid the region of forces like TPLF and other tribalist forces, clanist type forces, these narrow-minded, dangerous forces supported by superpowers outside of the country, in order to, bring back TPLF to power. So Eritrea, Somalia, Ethiopia are united in their support for Abiy Ahmed. And I think that we're seeing a new day in the Horn of Africa because of it.
Lastly and briefly, Simon, the New York Times, having never seen Black Hawk Down, obviously, had an op-ed the other day saying that American troops were the answer. Is there any possibility of that?
I will never put anything past the United States. We can talk about Dr. Strangelove, and the type of people that are running Washington at the current moment. Folks like Blinken, folks like Susan Rice, Samantha Powers, Feltman. These are incredibly, militaristic type individuals who have a history of bringing tragedy and misery to the African continent. We can go back to Libya and see that they are targeting Ethiopia in a similar way. But if you look, you're talking about 110 million people in Ethiopia. In the Horn of Africa, you're talking about 140 million people. And most of these people, as I said, 95% of them in Ethiopia and pretty much all of them in the Horn, are against TPLF. They're against the return of this puppet client regime that has brought death and destruction and misery to the people of the Horn of Africa. So I do not see this as something that is likely, but you can never put it past them. And so the world and the peoples of the region have to prepare for any eventuality.
Thank you for joining us on board the Sputnik.
Thank you.